Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for the invite and the hospitality. My name is Maikel, Allen. Actually, I'm going to stand this way so I don't keep on looking at myself. And there's a note there for my blog. Actually, my blog is called Everything Brilliant, and that means everything brilliant starts with an idea. Absolutely everything in this world. So I'm fascinated by what it takes to have more ideas, and more importantly, what it takes to turn those ideas into something exceptional. And I guess it's this way. So something a little bit more about me. I would call myself an innovator. I've started 3 businesses. I've sold 3 businesses. I've created lots of products. So I certainly think of myself as an innovator. The main thing I do is I speak and I blog and I help organizations innovate. So that's figuring out where they need ideas, how to get ideas, how to test and evaluate and implement ideas. I also walk the walk in that I share all of my ideas online. I'm going to show you some of those, and I'm going to, in detail, I'm going to show you one of them, the last idea. But I'll tell you why I share all my ideas in a second. And I do need to explain this picture. So this little boy here on the right is me, 40 years ago. So you can see the aging process has not done me any favors at all. Now, my father was in the British Army. He then moved to the Kuwaiti Army. So those fine gentlemen in the shade, looking at these 2 boys in the sun, are Kuwaitis. There's a point of this slide, which is that, and I need to explain. So if you live in England or Britain, it's a very small country. It's a very small island, so we're not very far away from the sea. So what do? We take our kids and we build sandcastles. So an idea stick. So we went to the desert, and what did we bring? We brought our spades and our buckets to build sandcastles. And I don't need to tell you, you can't build a sandcastle with desert sand. But ideas stick. Ideas are really powerful. So for a moment, if you want to, you can shut your eyes, but think about your organization, think about your mosque, your communities, and think about what ideas, when they think about your organization or your community, what ideas are landed in people's heads. And what ideas would you like people to have in their heads when they think about your organization? And ideas can get us there. Ideas can change the world if we can figure out how to make those ideas stick in our minds, in other people's minds. So I'm going to talk about how to innovate in less than 40 minutes, which it's a big subject. You can spend 40 years reading about how to innovate, so I've got a very short amount of time. I have some good news, and the good news is it's simple. Innovation is how you implement ideas. There's some bad news. The bad news is it's not always easy. I'm going to try and make it easy. And try and make it simple with 5 steps. And actually, I'm not dumbing down. There are only 5 steps. It's 5 very simple steps. The first one isn't ideas, and this is one of the very first things you need to understand. When you think about ideas, one of the real challenges for me and people that do what I do, if they think about innovation and they want to get ideas, and that is a dumb idea. Asking, has anyone got any ideas, is a really dumb idea. We start with what we call a challenge. You can call it a vision, you can call it a strategy, they're the same thing, they're synonyms. But we have to solve a problem, and that's the first thing. We have to understand, why do we want to innovate? What are we trying to achieve? What's the end game? So we can solve a problem, but we want to disrupt, we want to exploit an opportunity, we want to do something. This, ladies and gentlemen, is perhaps the greatest innovation of the 21st century. This is the easy egg. It solves that problem. So when you crack an egg, and the egg goes into food. Now, it's the easy cracker. And look at it, it cracks eggs. Now, hands on, who has an easy cracker at home? I'm looking at the wrong side of the room. Who has an easy cracker at home? Nobody has an easy cracker at home. It's $10, and you can pay for it in 2 installments. It's only $5 at a time, and when no one has it, because there are only 2 people in the world that think the easy cracker is the greatest invention of the 21st century. The inventor and the inventor's mother. Because it solves a problem, but it solves a problem that nobody has. Nobody has a broken egg in food problem. So it doesn't matter that it solves it. We need to find problems that actually people care about. That's the really key thing. This is another really important concept, the 3 innovation horizons. If I get 5 minutes and I have 1 napkin to tell to people about innovation, I draw this. So it's really, really important. Essentially, it describes 3 different types of innovation. The first innovation is core, the one down in the bottom right. Now, I know lots of people here have come from the quality world, the improvement world, the excellence world. This is what you do all the time. So there are ideas about what we do, about our core business, our existing products and our existing customers. And we can do thousands of these. The reasons that our cars don't break down is because the automotive industry has been doing it for decades. So I'm not going to tell you much about that. There's nothing I can tell you about that. The second horizon is adjacent. So these are new things. So new products and assets, or incremental products. And on the left, adjacent markets, brand new stuff. And that's one of the areas where innovation happens. And the last horizon is transformational, the breakthrough stuff. They're much harder. Now, we can do thousands of core ideas, probably hundreds of adjacent ideas, and probably a few transformational ones. Now, when I asked you to put a hand up, who owns Easy Cracker, of course I was playing a small trick on you, but we can apply this to something that's much more serious. Who, hands up again, who has or has owned a Nokia mobile phone? Yep. So almost everybody has had a Nokia mobile phone. Hands up again if today, on your desk, in your pockets, in your bag, you have a Nokia mobile phone. Whoa. Oh, it's broken. So I saw 2. Amazing. So how did that happen? Now, there's lots of reasons why that happened and how that happened. One thing I can promise you is it didn't happen because they stopped innovating. They had loads of products. They carried on innovating. They were really good at innovation. So what on earth happened? They innovated based on what they knew. They were innovating incremental products and services for the same kind of customers. They believed they understood their customers. And you can't blame them for that, because the whole world wanted a Nokia mobile phone. You can't blame them. Now, Apple didn't know what it took to build a mobile phone, but they took a gamble, and they rather than Nokia building phones that they believed the whole world wanted, Apple built a phone that they believed, well, they wanted themselves. It was a big risk. But of course, Apple pretty much killed Nokia, and Apple pretty much killed those other mobile phone companies at the time. Because what they did was absolutely transformational. And what's really interesting was, I don't know if you remember this, but so the iPhone was not the first touchscreen smartphone. Not by years. And Apple, the Apple iStore, wasn't the first online app store. They didn't actually invent it. They did a much better job of connecting the two together. They thought about the customer experience. They solved an experience problem rather than an invention problem. And look where we are today. We can also use what we call challenges or provocations to get ideas. So it's the bit before we even think about ideas, we need to think about what do we want to do. This is a really good one, and this might be similar to some of your organisations as well. And this is a picture of someone's desk. So their business is all about relationships. You see, she has a spreadsheet with the contact names and addresses. She has the Rolodex. She has a telephone. But their business is changing enormously, because we don't want those kind of relationships, and our children definitely don't want those kind of relationships. So it's a very clear call to action. What in the photograph of a colleague's desk will change in 5 years? So we're using that as to provoke some ideas. We can use images, very powerful images, to try and provoke an emotion that things are changing, that there's an urgency, that we need to do something different. We can use images to inspire us as well. I love this and this work very well. We're using humour. I don't know whether this is a thing in Arabic countries, but the internet is full of cats. We love cats. This is a 10-hour YouTube video of cats doing cat things. What a waste of time. But again, we created it for an opportunity to say, what do you do, what processes do you do that waste time, that add no value? And then we can think about ideas. And this is the fun bit, and actually Rachel very eloquently explained this. It's the bit we all want to get to. We want to share it, we want to come up with ideas. It's very energizing, but I'll tell you why that's a problem in a second. First, the real basics. What's an idea? Actually, of course there's a definition of what an idea is, but actually if we ask most people what's an idea, it's a hard one to pin down. So I've done a lot of work on this. The real basics of what an idea is. So that box with those blobs in, that's a tiny bit of our brains. My brain, your brain. And our brains are full of knowledge and experience and insight and ideas. It's rammed full. And every time, the reason we come to conferences like this is to get more of these things. An idea is where we connect those apparently disparate, different bits of knowledge and bits of experience, and we make a connection. It's as simple as that. So, if we can make more connections, we can get more ideas. It's all about making those connections. So we think about, and you need to discard, you need to forget that concept which lots of people have, which is that ideas just happen or they don't happen, and it's luck or it's serendipity. You can't force ideas. You can absolutely force ideas. It's a process. You can learn how to have more ideas. And that's the key thing. Make more connections. You can go to venues like this. You go where smart people go, and you learn stuff. It's making connections. You're ramming your brain full of more bits of insight, bits of knowledge, bits of experience that you can make a connection through. Be inquisitive. Try and figure out how stuff works. Don't just take everything at face value. Go where ideas thrive. The chap that's here with Idea Pit, I know he was telling me that he's got a fab lab, a fabrication lab, so you can go there and play and invent and create stuff. Allow yourself to be inspired. So watch things like TED Talks, inspired of 5-10 minutes of something brilliant, which will make more connections. It's really, really simple. We can also make it happen. You can trigger those connections. So there were challenges. I showed you some challenges and questions, events and tools and training and inspirations. So it is about tools. And there's lots of tools. The only difficult thing, and nothing's hard about the tools, the only difficult thing is understanding what tool to use at what time. Now, we've been working hard with ES Consulting, so I think in your bag or perhaps on the desk there's a flyer, mostly yellow, and that's called Innovation Facilitation Training. And that's where we take some of these really basic tools and we tell you how to do them. And we tell you where some tools are better than others. Now, I say we don't have very much time, so I can't tell you much of this. I can't tell you many, but I'm going to show you one tool, and it's a really powerful tool called differentiation. So just one of them. So differentiation means making stuff different. Really, really simple stuff. So where we can change the value proposition, so that means what it offers people. We can change the utility, and that means how it works and what it does. The configuration, how we sell it or how it's offered, and the experience, the customer experience, what people do with it. And there's a wonderful example here, which I use, which is about salt. Now, salt is the oldest commodity. It's a commodity before we even knew that we needed a word, and we invented the word commodity. It's absolutely fundamental to all life, all human life. We need salt. So this picture is simply a screenshot. So I went to an online grocery store, and I typed in salt, and this is what I got. I don't know about here, but in the UK, they have to help the consumer by decoding it. So we can't trick people. It tells you the price per kilogram. So if you want to buy cheap salt, it is 39 pence per kilogram. And then the next one down, well, if you're happy to buy a little bit more, so it's a bit more expensive, but it's a little bit cheaper, it's 34 pence per kilogram. Sorry, it's 34 pence per kilogram. It doesn't say where it's from, but this one does. The third one, it says it's from the sea. It's fine sea salt, but you're paying 5 times as much for it. You can see where I'm going with this. And look at the last one. So the Schwartz one that comes with a grinder, so you grind it yourself, which is slightly ironic. So the salt inside is less refined than the salt that you can pour, but you're grinding it yourself. So presumably it tastes better. I honestly don't know. But look, it's £50 a kilogram. It's incredible, isn't it? And all they've done is the same product. It's just salt, but they've changed the customer experience, and they can charge more for it. And people are happy to pay for extra for it. And that's what we've done. So challenge. Think about your product, or one of your products. And just for a moment, think, well, actually, what's the value proposition? And can we create a stronger value proposition? Can we change the value proposition? Can we change how we sell it? Can we put it in small boxes or big boxes or multiple boxes? Can we change the utility? So we take a really simple concept like making your products different. We show, and this is the tool, we show an example to inspire people how we are affected by differentiation or innovation through differentiation all the time, and then we try and apply it to what you do and your products and your services. It's a really powerful way to get lots and lots and lots of ideas really quickly and really easily. So it's just one tool, but I really wanted to show you those examples of tools. Number 3, share. And this is another really fundamental misconception. You can't invent on your own, and innovation and invention are different things. You can invent on your own, you can't innovate on your own. You need other people. If you want adoption, you need other people, you need a crowd. And I mentioned already, and it was mentioned in the introduction, thank you for that, I share all my ideas online. So if you go to my blog, everythingbrilliant.co.uk, you see all of my ideas. I'm going to show you the last idea I put up there recently. Why on earth do I do that? Well, one reason is actually because it's difficult. Not many people do it. I don't know of anybody else around the world, certainly in the innovation world, that publicly puts all their ideas online. And the one thing I get back constantly is, well, what if people steal them? Fine, steal them. I'll have another idea. So the best example, the best description I've always heard and I use, for some reason we treat our ideas like our babies. And we hold on to them. And I'm not going to give my baby to someone that I don't think loves my baby as much as I love my baby. It's very natural. It's also kind of mad, because it's not a baby, it's just an idea. So you have to really break that instinct to protect our ideas and hold on to our ideas and not tell anyone about ideas in case, well, people say in case they steal it. Honestly, I think it's in case people don't love it. And as adults, and certainly in the business world, we're conditioned, we're trained not to make ourselves feel vulnerable, not to make ourselves feel stupid. And that feeling, and I'm sure everyone's had this feeling to some extent, where you start to describe your idea, I've had an amazing idea, blah, 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 and you see their face go really blank, and you realize they're not getting it. They don't understand what on earth you're talking about. And it makes us feel horrible. And of course we learn that when we have those feelings of feeling horrible, we don't do something again. It's a very natural instinct. So that's why I do that work, trying to inspire people. It's just an idea. It's also the first and the easiest step. We can all have ideas. There is no inherent value in an idea. The value comes later. It's just the first step. It's the easiest step to take. And the last one is really, really important. The more ideas you have, the more ideas you have. It's so simple. It's the natural resource. It's the only natural resource where the more you use, the more you get. It's a wonderful resource. The more you have ideas, the more you have ideas. And the more you share ideas, that triggers other ideas. And indeed, one of the best reasons, one of the best outcomes for me very publicly sharing all of my ideas online is, on a weekly basis, people tell me their ideas. I have no idea who they are. They're complete strangers to me. They're from a different part of the world, but they share their ideas with me. Now that's a real privilege. I love that. Like every privilege, it comes with a responsibility in terms of what you do with that idea and how you respond to that idea, how you make them feel good rather than stupid, even if it's a stupid idea. And trust me, I've had lots of stupid ideas, and I see lots of stupid ideas. But arguably, if it's not a stupid idea, it's probably not a good idea. If half the room, I'm going to show you my next idea, my last idea, 298 in a minute. Arguably, if most of you don't think it's stupid and don't think I'm mad, it's not a very good idea. We can also share ideas. This is where technology can help. And I'm not here to talk to you about a software tool. I'll show you very briefly a software tool to make a point about how effective we can be to sharing ideas. We're used to this. So we want to buy a book. We're used to that concept of seeing ratings. So it displays the most popular book first, and the least popular book second. And we're used to be able to see reviews, and you may even be the type of person that actively writes reviews to help other people. It's a quid pro quo of social media. And we can do the same with ideas. So here's a challenge. So we are a low-cost airline. The challenge is we want to reduce the check-in costs. So there's a very clear call to action. And we've got some ideas. We can see other people's ideas. We can rate those ideas. And that concept of being able to see that the better ideas will bubble to the top and the not so good ideas will sink down to the bottom. And we can have a conversation. We can have collaboration. And really, more often than not, the comments about the ideas are more valuable than the idea. The idea was just the first step. Do you remember that point? The idea is only the first step, and it's the easy step. When we start to have a conversation and with collaboration, we can really make something of those ideas. So that's why I say you can invent on your own, but you need a crowd. You need to build a crowd of people to really innovate. Number 4. This is the hard one. This is the one that people miss out, the most misunderstood step, which is to experiment and to test. Back to my tools. I want to be able to leave you. One of the problems with innovation, without a question or doubt, is how do I do it? Just show me what I need to do. Just help me do it once. And there are lots of tools to do that. And there are some. These are also the ones that are being included in the facilitation training, so you can get you can train up and equip your staff with ideation tools and techniques. And I'm going to show you one of them, which is called the idea canvas. Do you remember that thing I said? That feeling that we learn to avoid when we're sharing an idea and the other person looks blank and they have no idea what you're talking about. This is a very simple tool to be able to do that, and this is where I do need more than one hand. So I have a number of these. So yeah, this is where I do need more than one hand. You'll get the idea. Hold on, let me try and do this. So, the idea canvas comes as a box. It's a very thin box. It's cheap. It's manual. There's no software. Anyone can have this box. And as you open the box, it reveals this shape. So there are 6 steps. This is when Rachel mentioned, you may have come across the term before at other times, the concept of divergence and convergence. Divergence is we're trying to explore, we're trying to create a wide range of ideas. And convergence is we've got loads of ideas, but how do we get down to a small number? How do we test them? This is a divergence tool. So as it opens out, inside is the box is some blank post-it notes. Okay, and then I need to press that one there. So, step number 1 is simple. It's the idea. One of the beauties of this idea, the canvas idea, is it's a post-it note. So you have a small amount of space to be able to describe your ideas. I'm going to leave that there. I have a few, so if you want some more, come and grab that. Do you remember I said, this is the last idea, 298, I'm doing pretty good on time. I'm thinking of stopping at 365. I think I've made my point by the time I get one for every day of the year. So brilliant idea 298 is an app called Trading Places. It allows people to trade, for example, a seat on a bus or a train, a place in the queue, a ticket for a football game, a ticket for a show, my nice dry place in a taxi when it's raining and I'm in the city, with other people that use the app that were happy to trade their money for my place. So that's the basic idea of Trading Place, the Trading Places app. Most people stop there and go, what do you think? And that's the, I've got 5 minutes. Number 2 is what's the problem it solves. So it solves the problem that many of the things that we value are oversubscribed, and if we could, we'd happily pay something to get that place. Number 3 is who has the problem? Yeah, so no one has an egg cracking problem. That's why I showed the easy cracker. So I'm identifying a profile, a person who on earth would spend money for a train ticket and then spend money again to take someone's place because they don't have a seat. The 4th one is the hardest one, and this is where most ideas die. This is where most ideas fail. This is by far the hardest one to get your head around, which is why that person that we've identified cares enough about that problem that they will adopt an idea. Yeah, this is really, really fundamental, but this is the hardest one. And this is the point where most ideas fail. The 5th one's easy, which is my idea solves a problem by integrating social tools to link people that have with people that have not. And the last one is, again, this is a hard one that people mentally really need to get across, which is, how do I test it? What am I going to do to see if this idea works before I build it? So if you ever have the problem getting people to buy into your ideas, fundamentally what we're saying is, I want you to buy into testing this idea. Here's my hypothesis. So it's a very different approach. And you fold it up and you put it on someone's desk, and that gives the people the opportunity to talk about the idea. Again, this is just one of a number of tools in that test phase. We need to go and test those ideas. I'm getting towards number 5, so we remember, and this is very misunderstood, innovation and ideas are not the same. And number 5 is to deliver. Now, how we deliver isn't actually an innovation problem, it's a project problem, or it's a design problem, but it's absolutely essential that we understand that if we're not implementing, we're not innovating. Now, there's a metaphor I use, which I think is very powerful. Let's think of ideas as Coca-Cola. We drink Coca-Cola because it gives us energy. It makes us feel good. It refreshes us. Billions and billions of litres of Coca-Cola are sold for those reasons. But you'll notice on that, the nutritional panel that's on the bottle, there's lots of zeros. It doesn't have any nutritional value. We cannot live as human beings on Coca-Cola. It has a purpose. We can't live on Coca-Cola alone. Extend that to ideas. So ideas on their own have no nutritional value. They make us feel good. They give us energy. We enjoy it. It refreshes us. But we can't live, and organizations can't live on ideas alone. There's no nutritional value in an idea. There's no inherent organizational value in an idea until we implement it. But goodness, it's worth it. Innovation or innovative organizations have more value. It solves problems for individuals and solves problems with communities. It's a no-brainer. It makes fortunes. It generates value. It generates growth. This last point is really important, though. Innovation has never had the currency it has now, but it has the longevity. The longevity has disappeared. We have to be really rapid about how we innovate. ideas become obsolete faster than ever. So we really need to understand how that process works and how we make that process work better. The final thought, again, this is the call to action. It's the hardest thing about innovation, and I live my life talking, thinking, writing, helping organizations around innovation. The hardest thing is to stop talking and to do something. And do you remember the second slide? Okay, it's not always easy, but it is simple. It's a simple process, and we can start that straight away. You can have one of these idea canvases that I've got for you. Talk to me later, talk to the ES Consulting. So it says you choose a problem that you care about, that you believe people care about, or you choose an opportunity that you really want to exploit. You challenge people to help you come up with ideas. You know, ideation is a collaborative process, and use people. You can use that crowd to help you find the best ideas. Yep, the ideas that people understand that will bubble to the top. You test them and you prototype them. You find the simplest way of testing whether people get it, whether people are going to press a button, perhaps on a Facebook page or a LinkedIn. You know, really simple ways of testing whether people understand it, and then you start to do some implementation. And don't look for perfect. Don't look for the next billion-dollar idea. They didn't know that billion-dollar idea was going to be a billion-dollar idea. Implement, and the more you do it, the easier it gets. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Michael. This was really brilliant. I really enjoyed it. Now we will have a Q&A session.
Actually, as Mr. Ibrahim said, that you are a fan of Manchester City. So if you are a Manchester City coach, okay, would you share your idea of the match with the Manchester United coach? And what's the benefit of sharing your idea with your competitor?
Well, I was put on the spot when I was asked my favourite football team. My wife and my children love Manchester City. I'm not so worried about football. There is a wonderful idea, though, on that theme. The Belgian football team. You have to ask Patrick about this as well. No one cared about the Belgian football team. They all watched the La Liga and the French League. No one cared. No one came to watch the Belgian football team. And they had a brilliant idea called Challenges, amazingly. This is how I know about it. Where the fans could challenge the football team to do something. Just do something funny, to do something cool, to do something risky. A fabulous idea, and the fans really got behind it. So even with the football team, you know, you can change people's idea about what they are by your actions, by simply ideas.
When you presented the first talk about the ideas and the core ideas and adjacent ideas and transformational ideas, when you talk about adjacent ideas, I remember a book, I looked at it. It's actually Where Do Good Ideas Come From? And actually talking about a similar concept here. But probably the challenge, and especially for established companies, you have good idea, you're working on it, and you're in the field of spotting the next idea, the adjacent idea. But how do you know that there is a transformational idea that is actually coming up together and people are going that direction? How to become that smart enough to spot on the transformational ideas? How do you know that? How do you do that?
Yeah, it's a wonderful question. So there's a wonderful quote, one of my favorite memes about innovation, and I briefly touched on it a moment ago. And there's a lady called Jocelyn Goldfein. She wrote a brilliant paper called if you Google the innovation dead end, she's explaining and trying to explore, well, all these corporations say they want to do innovation, but where does it happen? Why is it so damn difficult? And she has this phrase, which I love, which is, the problem with transformation ideas, you know, the really transformational, the really bright ideas, is they look awfully like really dumb ideas. So if you take a moment to think about that. When someone said, I'm thinking about a blogging, I don't know, but you can only use 140 characters. Who wouldn't have thought that was a really dumb idea? Why on earth would you just use 140 characters? It's a dumb idea, but it's an idea that stuck. Now, there's lots of ways in which she started, but no one knew that that was a good idea. She also talks about, and it's a problem. So the venture capital, she's based in San Francisco, where kind of the world, the hub of innovation and dot-coms and startups. And she does point out that the venture capital business, they make money by spotting good ideas and backing them, but they almost always fail. Yeah, so 20 ideas, 19 fail, but one of them will win really big. Now, if the venture capital business, that's all they do, they find it difficult, then corporations find it difficult as well. So to answer your question, you test. One of the other tools that you saw on the innovation tool set is Lean. So if you know anything about Lean, you do experiments, you test. You don't expect to know it. You test and you build it and you iterate and you test and you build and iterate. So it's all about the culture of experimentation, the culture of testing, and being, not losing patience, being persistent and keep on going and going and going. Hopefully that answers your question. And there was a question from this side as well.
We will take the last two questions, one from ladies' side and one from...
First of all, thank you, Mr. Michael, or Mr. Brilliant Michael, let's say. It's a very simple question. Is a creative person by nature, would he be a creative by nature as a leader, or we can increase the creativity in a person? And if yes, can you just give us a very simple steps how to, please?
Yeah, so there are more creative people. I like to think, when we talk about ideas, I like to actually focus more about risk. So people that are creative see less risk. And most of us see more risk in offering ideas. So the thing I do where I share my ideas online, it's stupid. It's really risky. I put even the stupid ones I put online. So you can, of course, there are more creative people and less creative people. But when you go into a workshop and we have to get people, blue collar people, white collar people, and the thing that kills it when people say, "Oh, I'm not very creative, I'm not very good at this." They have in their mind that they're not going to be good at this, and they can be brilliant at it. So the key thing with ideation is it's a tool, it's a process. We can teach anyone to do it. I'm not saying for a moment that everyone will be as good at it, but we can break down barriers and anyone can do it. Okay?
The last question.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for your amazing presentation. I have a question about if I have like a wide company, international, and always the fact is affect the ideas. The idea in Saudi Arabia is different than what's in the United States. Okay. How can I avoid this problem? What kind of team can I use to get the ideas from? Is it my local one here, or I have to pick or choose a different wide team to?
I think the most important thing when you choose people is you choose diversity. So if you're trying to solve an accounts payable problem, a cash flow problem, if you only ask the accountants, you will get a certain type of idea. If you ask the customer, and you ask the salesperson, and if you get a diverse range of people, that counts for an awful lot. So I would think more about how diverse we can make people, and there's a growing trend towards open innovation. So open innovation is actually where you don't really spend too much time trying to engage your workforce with ideas. You ask your customers, and you ask your supply chain, and they see a very different perspective. So diversity, I think, is more important, so diversity in terms of job role, type, experience, level in an organisation is significantly more important than anything else. We're looking for the more diversity. And remember, diversity counts for finding ideas, but also for testing or evaluating ideas. Remember I showed you the Amazon type of approach, so we can star rate ideas, good ideas. If we can get more diverse people, we will find it easier to spot the good ideas. Hopefully that answers your question.
Okay, we'll take the last question, but please keep it short.
Sure. Thank you, Michael, Rakan lady. My quick question to you is that one of the struggles we have here in Saudi, among the Saudi youth, and also in the region, is that most of the youth think that their ideas are worth something. They come up with to you and say, we have a great idea, I want to go and get an IP for it, or براءة اختراع, and record it in some of the offices, of the IB offices. It's just an idea, it's not even a design, an engineering design, or not even a business model. What is your response to that? I'm sure you're experienced and you've been across these challenges before. We always struggle with responding to those type of questions. And how can we raise the understanding that ideas are worth nothing until implementation?
No, it's an excellent question, and it's a very common problem. And do you remember I said earlier, asking, and it sounds counterintuitive, but it's so true, asking if anyone's got any ideas is a really dumb idea. Now, when people give you ideas, there's a real caution. When people offer ideas, they're offering because they believe that if they implemented it, everyone would win. So if it's not a very good idea, or it's not an idea that meets the strategy, and they're disappointed, and then they'll fold their arms next time, and they won't give you any more ideas. It's a really dumb idea. So there's two key things we can do. Focus on the challenges and the communities. Okay. So of course you can tell people that you're doing something around innovation, and we are aiming to roll this out to everybody, but we have identified 2 or 3 key challenges, and these are the communities of people. If you want to join, put your hand up, but these are the communities. So you set an expectation that you're not going to collect everyone's idea, and indeed you're only going to collect ideas to solve or address a particular challenge. And more often than not, people understand that. If you have a conversation about what you're doing and there are limits, equally you can say, we want ideas that will cost no money. So we want ideas, and we're going to ask you how you would implement that idea in less than 30 days. Again, if you set an expectation, people generally respond. And quite often the people that just want to give loads and loads of ideas, sometimes they're not very helpful. So setting that. The second way of doing it is to really understand and explain the evaluation process to them. Why you evaluate. Again, if you tell people the process, if that excludes their idea, more often than not, people understand that. The worst thing you can do, and the phrase I hear all the time is, my idea went into a black hole, it just disappeared. If it's a mystery how people do those things, they will be disappointed. Okay.
Thank you very much, Michael, for sharing these ideas. I really enjoyed your presentation. Thank you very much.